what's up, everyone? My name is Jason.
My name is Cesar, and we're here to review a pretty amazing film we just saw. We saw 13 Hours, The Soldiers of Benghazi. It was an incredible film. Michael Bay has definitely stepped his game up. It's definitely a must-watch. I feel like it was one of those films that started the year extremely well, right in action. I mean, it brought everything to light of what we had thought like the experience was for these soldiers in Benghazi.
Yes, he definitely in this film, he brings war to life. You know, whether it be the slow tension of discomfort and the mistrust that comes within war. He definitely reveals this with the slow scenes whether the soldiers know whether to shoot or not. And so we sometimes don't get that exposure, but he definitely exposes us to that side of war.
What I really liked in the story was that for the first time in forever, you can actually appreciate a Michael Bay film, because it seems like we got over the passage of the Transformer era, which I'm very glad. And it's great because war movies typically try to bring this tension up, which this movie did, and it did really well doing that. But it was able to develop characters that at some point you identified with one way and another. He just really humanized the situation and really brought you to the point. It wasn't necessarily a political movie, it was more of a movie that really projected itself into the experience of the soldiers and what had happened.
The last great war film I have seen is Private Ryan. And when I see the film, when I see the scenes of them, the brutal scenes of war, you are reminded how brutal war really is. And so I appreciate the time he takes to expose the brutality of war and how the sacrifice of each of one of these persons really was sacrificial.
You really felt like you were there. That POV shot where it was just like happening one-to-one and your heart raises just as much as you see the action happening in the movie. And then John Krasinski, being the kind of actor that we never really saw taking this step in his roles, was able to put forward something that you were like, whoa, dude, you're freaking serious. Like, you're a man. Like, this is incredible. He's went far beyond what we've seen in The Office and other shows we've seen him in, but it's just incredible to see an actor take this kind of roles and be taken extremely seriously. I feel like now he's considered one of those great action heroes like you'll see in other movies.
It's always hard for a character, an actor, to break out of his usual conventional act, and so he's seen as this funny guy who no one takes seriously, and it's extremely hard to take him seriously in a movie where it's brutal war, people are dying, but he manages to do it, and he does it successfully, and people, I know, appreciate it.
And now we'll have some spoiler alerts now. You've been warned. We're going to talk a little bit more into the plot of the story. If you haven't watched it, please just discontinue, watch the film, and then let us know about it. We'll check in with you about it. Right? One of the things that I really appreciated was one of the quotes from John Krasinski at the end, where the soldiers were just complaining like, oh, look at these people. Our commanders are going to get all the recognition for all the work we've done. They're going to know that, oh yeah, these people are the ones who stepped up, protected, and were serving our country. But ultimately it was them. They did all the work. They did everything that was done and saved all those people's lives. But those guys are going to get all the credit. And they were complaining about this. You just see him clashing and just wondering like, what's going to happen? And you see John Krasinski just step up and say, you know what? We get to go home. And I think at the end, like that alone just provides such a great subtle just comfort to everybody after all the rides you've gone through. It makes you feel like, wow, there is a sense of hope. And that's the kind of mentality, ultimately that gives you just a sense of security. That you have people who believe and who care about this country. And I really appreciated that because they brought to light the emotion in the heart of the soldiers.
The desire for the soldiers to go home. Whether it be the pictures they keep of their family members, or they're making their last phone calls because they know that death may come that night. And so they have nothing secure. And how, just like us, when we, whether it be you leaving for college or you getting a successful job, you always desire to go back to that one home you once held. So these soldiers, they want to go back to that home. And we get a sense of it in the end of the film. That quote basically sums up what kind of joy they're going to have of coming back home. John, within this film, he was expecting a baby, so I can imagine what kind of expressions he must have expressed when he first saw the baby born. And so, yeah, going home was the biggest award they could have possibly received. Yes, they could have received medals and recognition from the public, but going home to those that they love was the most important thing. So we made a scale in which epic basically means it's fantastic, it's good, 10 out of 10. It's a movie you gotta go watch, it's a must-see. We have fantastic, 9, which means it's still worth your time, it's still worth the money, and it's recommended, and 8 good. It's a good film. You could possibly watch other films, but you can still watch it. And anything below 8, we just would not recommend. And so
we're trying to talk about, like, just in the manner that there's a part in which epicness falls under, where you see great development of storyline, you see no plot holes in the story, you see also character development that's just fantastic, and in the end, you still walk with a satisfied ending. Now, ultimately, that's not going to happen in most films. Yes. We're not going to be able to say that about most films, but because of the trajectory of this film specifically, it is definitely epic in that sense. So we recommend watching it both 4K HD or having ability to watch it in IMAX. I think recommend that. Yes. It's totally worth it. We enjoyed it the same way, so we hope you do the same. Thanks for watching.
Take care.